Borough, Yeadon, Delaware County, Pennsylvania Borough Council Legislative Meeting. It's hereby called to order for August 18, 2022. Would you please stand for the pledge of
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
roll call, Mr. Secretary?
Thank you, Madam President. Mayor Rowan Evans.
Present.
Thank you. President Sharon, council members.
President.
Vice President Green Johnson.
Present.
Councilor Talia Jones Gordon.
Present.
Councilor Carlette Brooks.
Present.
Councilor Nicole Bean.
Present.
Councilor Toya Monroe. Councilor Toya Monroe. Absent. Councilor Deanna Rothbell. Thank you. Our solicitor or representative, Mark Munch.
Present.
Thank you. Finance Director, Keith Nickel. Absent. Our tax collector, Mr. Londa Hughes.
In the house.
Thank you. And our engineer, Mr. Joe Fuster.
Present.
Thank you.
Citizens Forum agenda items only. The comments are limited to 3 minutes. First on the agenda for Citizens Forum, Claire Johnson.
Good evening to everyone. I have a couple of things that I'm not quite sure about. First thing is the newsletter. Is that better? Okay. The newsletter that was distributed. It was poorly done. No respect to the community at all. Some people got two, such as myself. I got one on my car and one thrown in my driveway. One I think is really illegal, and you guys should know that as counselors, to place anything in a mailbox or on a car. It's illegal, and I don't know why you guys did that. And for the cost that it cost the residents, over $45,000, $47,000, and then you have to pay somebody to distribute them? Sure.
$4,800.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, that's totally ridiculous. That's a bad quality of life. And what I'm going to show you guys is even worse quality of life. This is how you us guys living. Yeah, I got made copies into my ink right now. Yeah, you can do that. Thank you. Sorry, I was going to try to have some for the community so you guys can see.
We got eyes. We got eyes. We can
But I want
see.
you guys to know that you got me across the street from what looks like Fairmount Park.
Where was this taken?
That's the code people's job to know where it was.
Counselor
I know it's late, and I know it's in Yeadon.
Phoebe.
And those are things that I even took as I'm driving around. Code people are supposed to get out of their cars and walk around. I don't know who's over code, but I do know that they're not doing their job. I also know that everything on the back of this thing is a lie. Everything. Because you tell me when somebody actually reported off of the floor as a counselor. Can somebody up here on the floor tell me or the rest of these communities in here what committee you liaison to? Because those are the reports that you're supposed to give from the floor. The most ridiculous thing of all is that you have committee meetings at the end of the month. So I guess you guys don't have anything to bring because the meeting is over, the month is over. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. And I'm here to help anybody that needs help. Knock, ring. I'm here. But actually, the people that's on the floor is supposed to be helping you guys. But I'm here to help anyone. Everybody up here know my phone number. Everybody. You guys got to do that. That's ridiculous. That's what
Can you
we're
please
living
give
on.
me an address with this?
No, I can't. That's code's responsibility and whoever's over it. Excuse me, sir. Oh, I'm sorry, I'll go down there.
Next, Mr. Michael Trent.
Good evening, everybody. Yeah, just to follow up on one of the things that Clara brought up, who was responsible for distributing newsletters, especially on the news sheet? Does anybody, you guys know who's responsible? I mean, you guys have the newsletter published. It took 3 weeks.
It's on the back, somebody should raise their hand and say, me.
I mean, does nobody want to accept responsibilities? I guess not. Anyway, on new business, it seems like you're hiring somebody again after replacing somebody as webmaster with this pink social strategies. On their website, or if you look into their background, they look like they're more or less event planners.
Yes.
Are they really qualified to be a webmaster? I mean, you need somebody to do a better job with our borough website because there's too much negativity that stays up there. Too many misinformation pieces that
They
are
don't
listed.
listen to sound bites.
I mean, it's almost like you guys just want to ignore whatever core consulting puts up there on the website.
They go back.
That was blank stares. Anyway,
Who called directly to do it?
as counselors, hopefully you've looked into that situation, well, actually two situations where we've had recent employees leave because of the way the borough manager is mistreated.
Yes.
Especially one that was a female, hadn't been here that long as a code enforcement, from what I understand, taken to a secluded area and asked if they wanted their job, for whatever reason.
Nasty.
And had their probation extended for another 60 days.
30 days.
Doesn't matter. It's wrong.
Somebody's supposed to respond, he made a slip, that's all right. So, I mean, it's just interesting the way that you allow a lot of incompetence from the borough manager, but yet still you're always on top of everything else. And looking at the mayor's report, it seems like it's disputing what's always been claimed that we're fully staffed with our police. And everybody else has been saying that we're understaffed with the police department. So, I mean, what's the actual facts? Y'all just want to be silent. Well, at this point, it's like I can see there's not going to be much response. I'll just know you're doing wrong. You know a lot of things are wrong, but
Mr. Trent, your time is up.
Oh, they know how to say that. Time is up.
Liz Novich. Liz Novich.
After refusing to meet privately with Sean Morchow's family, after refusing to answer their questions at meetings, after refusing to allow the mayor to answer their questions, Sharon went out and explained everything in the street to the activists she invited. Sharon, you explained you knew the holding cells were hazardous for 20 years because someone else hung himself. You explained council is in control of spending money and your responsibility is to vote to spend money to fix problems, yet in all your years on council, you haven't voted to upgrade the 1937 police facilities. Anyone who still wants answers after this can go to the Delco Resist Facebook page, watch our July 27th meeting starting at 1 hour and 35 minutes. But please remember that Sharon and Lorraine have both explained multiple times at length that they are incapable of identifying police officers unless they can read the names on their name tag. They particularly can't identify anyone with a beard. So you do need to take it with a grain of salt when Sharon starts pointing at officers. Also know we do not have, as Sharon puts it, rogue officers. We keep records of all complaints. What we have here is a problem with a rogue council president and 3 rogue councilors who are supporting her agenda to dismantle and defund the police department without any public safety measures to take up the slack. Removing the leadership of the police department and refusing funds to improve safety makes Sean's death Sharon's responsibility. Now, back to the agenda. Why is it we have a vote on the agenda to hire an event planner with no experience at web design to maintain our website and social media? Someone who uses a website design service for her own website. Posting borough events on social media is a task for the borough secretariat. Isaac. Liana Roadcloud was providing Zoom access to residents for free until you prohibited her from making meetings accessible to residents. Sharon. Last year we had a competent webmaster and the award-winning site she designed. You chose to fire an experienced professional who happens to be white and replace her with a series of inexperienced people who happen to be black and are charging twice as much. Likely they are charging so much because they have to contract out the work they can't do. Young Stephen here videotaping for Gary Core is a case in point. No other area borough has a media specialist on payroll, one who gets paid $4,500 every month. He says no comment to reporters. No other borough hires an event planner as an IT professional. Your talk of fiduciary responsibility is ludicrous. And speaking of events, when is the fundraiser for the Williams family going to be announced, Lorin? You must have that all ready to launch by now.
Mr. Mario Samino, sorry.
Mario Samino, come here respectfully as a former colleague in local government. I was on council in Morton for 12 years, and I'm here on behalf of Delco Resist and some of the other young activist organizations, which I have been a supporter of for several years now. Unfortunately, they're at Sharon Hill fighting for justice for Fansability. And I just want to, respectfully say, I understand politics. I understand it all too well. It's bringing me back all too much, watching the back and forth. But when it comes to life and death, and the well-being of constituents, and especially our young people and our children, please, we've got to move past this. And I was very pleased to see that, to one extent at least, some of the entities of government, I believe it was in the mayor's report, are calling on the U.S. Department of Justice. And I think that is where the activist community would wholly agree with you. It's high time that there be oversight in Delaware County. And honestly, I know all of us come under undue pressure from powers that be when it comes to these kind of situations, that I think we need the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice as an independent federal oversight and arbiter of these issues. And I encourage all of council to pursue that course, and I would expect the activist community will be supportive of bringing that neutral and that neutral oversight to this situation. So this kind of situation and the situation that happened in Sharon Hill with Fanta and that could happen anywhere else, there, but for the grace of God, in my town or anybody else's town, will never happen again. Thank you for your time.
Anna?
Good evening, everyone. As council members, you have a fiduciary responsibility to properly spend borough dollars. Public safety should be one of the highest priorities, and yet we have watched as we systematically defund the police. 5 months ago, we were told that the police were understaffed by 5 police officers. Now that it is no longer in your interest to admit that, council is trying to change the narrative. Having defunded the police and refusing to spend on public safety, you are jeopardizing the safety and welfare of the residents of this community. Residents no longer feel safe. You need to listen to them. You have handcuffed the police. We need to provide the police with the tools, equipment, and staffing to allow them to protect the residents of this borough. As a fellow resident so eloquently said, this building is 37 years old, the facilities are antiquated and unsafe, and we need to spend on that. It is disheartening to see a tragedy occur in Yeadon. It is even more distressing to see it used as fodder in a game of politics. At the last council meeting, a demand was made to the mayor to start an investigation. Yet a few moments later, council stated that an investigation was already occurring. A motion was made to require training for the police officers with full knowledge that the former police chief ensured no officer was allowed on the streets without the proper training. The former police chief also cared so deeply for public safety that 3/4 of the hours of the FOP question regarding part-time officers was for training. We need each counselor to be held accountable and fulfill their fiduciary responsibility to this community. The wasteful spending needs to stop. Why was a $25,000 raise given to the borough manager? Why is the borough manager paid more than the finance director? Why did we spend $10,000 on banners that are illegible and will be destroyed by the weather within 6 months? Why are we hiring firms with no prerequisite qualifications and paying inordinate amounts of money? Why was a private investigating firm hired to conduct a search for the new police chief? If you truly cared about this community, you would not politicize tragedy. When the family of Sean was invited to the meeting, no answers were given, yet later, the council president told the activists. Is the protocol now just to give information to activists first and then to the family and residents? We need each councilor to commit to doing what is proper for this borough and to make public safety a priority. The residents' safety and sustainability of the borough depend on it. You have clearly authorized more in wasteful spending this year than the portion of the FOP settlement allocated to this year. If you cannot be fiscally responsible for this issue, you need to look at that and resign your post. To my fellow residents, people in power often have their own agenda. We need to hold our elected officials accountable. We as taxpayers deserve to live in this community that is safe, and that includes having an adequate police force and giving them the tools, equipment, and facility to do their job.
Kennedy.
Hello. I have a couple of questions, but at first I just want to give a couple of thank yous, since these meetings get tough sometimes. So first off, I'm really glad to hear that Mayor Hopkins has potentially reached out to the Department of Justice. I have a couple of questions about that in a minute. I also wanted to thank Mr. Boggs for accepting my regular request last week. That brings me to my next point.
Can you take your mask down?
Oh, sorry. Can y'all hear me now?
There you go.
Cool. Let me put it. So, one thing that I just wanted to ask and maybe work together on, if it's possible, is the website doesn't really have adequate information about right to know requests, and that's required. I just wanted to offer, and this is no way to undermine what's on your agenda for today, but I do digital encoding by trade in my day job. So those important things that have to be on the website, if you can't approve this soon, please let me know. If I'm able to volunteer to help you all, I would be happy to do that. But you do need to have that information clearly on the website. Secondly, going back to the Department of Justice piece that's in the mayor's report for today, Mayor Hopkins, could you just say a little bit more about who you reached out to at the Department of Justice and exactly what you said?
Well, he can't answer you from the floor.
Oh, I apologize.
He can
Okay.
speak to you after the meeting.
Okay, I would hope that sometime during the meeting, maybe during the mayor's report, you can speak on that. I'll just ask the rest of my questions then.
Yeah, I'll let you know the proper time.
Mayor, you can speak, that's not true.
Okay, I don't want to run out of my time.
I'm not gonna
so
fight,
just,
but she needs to know she's not truthful.
Okay,
Yeah, there's
so
no reason I can't.
my hope is that you reached out to a person at the Department of Justice and not one of the fill-in forms, because I've done that, and I will continue to do that.
It is a person.
Awesome. And then I also really wanted to reiterate, I think, what we sort of tried to have in our conversation, but I know it was a tense conversation a few weeks back. I really think that this particular case is an issue of civil rights that were violated. And I also believe that you should be asking them to start a patterns and practice investigation, because this is not the only issue affecting the police department right now, as other commentators have said. And I think that that is honestly the best way to put forward the borough, because they can actually help you if there are problems within the police department to hold you accountable to the standards that will actually keep everyone safe. That being said, I really hope that you will release whatever written communication you have with the Department of Justice, but I also look forward to you talking about it later in the meeting. And I just want to reiterate that we're really thankful that you did that. But until there actually is an investigation, we are going to keep coming to these meetings. And I appreciate your willingness to do that, though. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Angela Lee.
Good evening. I want to talk about the webpage and several broken links that are still on there. There's one about feedback survey for residents when they come up here, what our experiences are. So I clicked that tonight. Page cannot be found. Report of concern in terms of vehicles and lights. Page cannot be found. And the newsletter, you can subscribe on the webpage. I went on that, and you can't do it. The last newsletter, which was a nice one, was winter 2021 to 2022. Had information about
Excuse me,
codes.
Ms. Lee, everyone is not paying attention.
Not paying attention, that's rude.
Well, that's
Anyway,
like,
typical. Anyway,
disrespectful.
somebody just say shut up. The last, I hope they didn't say shut up because, hey, I'm not having that. But anyway, the last newsletter on the webpage was from 2021 to 2022. And it had information about codes, public works, updates. Now the website seems to be politicized. So you're gonna put sound bites and things about other counselors. You put things on there about yourself and you tell people to shut up and you call them names. The other thing that I want to mention, the police chief that we had was up on technology. And in Nether Province, which is not that far from here, they have a device called a BolaWrap. And that's what they use for de-escalating certain situations so they don't have to use lethal methods. So someone that had a mental illness or something like that, instead of what's happening in Philly where they sometimes become lethal, they would use this Bola device. Now, Chief Chachi was all up on the latest technology, and I would like to know, would we be interested in having that type of device in Yeadon, since we haven't had any lethal shootings? So I would like you to look into the Bola device and get back to me on that. Yes. And the newsletter.
What is that device called again?
It's called Bola, B-O-L-A. And you shoot it at the person, it's like a Kevlar wrap, and they can't move. So it's non-lethal. So I thought that would be something that we could look into, even though we're smaller than Nether Province. That might be something we could get a grant for. In fact, Chief Splain, who used to be here, is the one that got it out here. And finally, the newsletters, they're all up and down the street. And when the sweeper came today, I guess the material that they made up it's not newspaper. They just stayed in the street like cement. So all up and down my block, it's like 3 or 4 newsletters. And coming here, down here, you can have it in the street. So my daughter wants you to know, her car is new. Don't put any newsletters on her windshield. She had 2. She said, Mom, I brand new car. So please don't do that. That's all I have to say.
Maluma, Tanika L.
I'll wait my time, thank you.
Ronald Green.
Justice, Good evening, everybody. I'm not much of a speaker, but I come up here today to find out why we don't have the police troll. I have talked with the sergeant. He has told me, Mr. Green, we only have 1. Last Thursday and Friday, Mr. Green, we only have 2. We're not safe here. Also, when the kids are getting out of school, they need to have the patrol. The other thing is, I want to go real quick so I don't take up your time. Bailey Road, going down to Furnace Street and on to Furnace. I have a slow sign there, they don't pay no attention. Once again, signs are good, but we need to see the officers out there. Until we see that, they will keep on doing what they want to do. But we need a sign on the left-hand side. When they turn the corner, they're making a right turn and they're looking left. I sit out on my porch. The other thing is Long Lane coming on to Cypress Street. There's a sign, yield, 25 mile. When they come around it, they're not looking. We need our officers out there. There have been accidents also. So those are my concerns as far as Yeadon. And the other thing I want to say, the school district, they are terrible. We pay our taxes to them, and I've been fighting for a long time. People have called me many names. The officers know me because I'm a strong black man that's going to stand up. You need to do something with that school system. You need to talk to Dr. Eric B. Cook.
Why are you talking about Mr. Reed?
Oh, I don't like that. That's rude. That's all right.
Rude, disrespectful.
Y'all heard what I said. That's what I'm talking about. You heard what I said. You don't keep that from me.
Consideration for the accounts payable list. Is there a second? Is there a second? It's been moved and properly second. Are there any questions?
I have questions.
You're acknowledged.
I see that there was a check for in the amount of $4,800 to SPM 108 LLC, and then it's listed on here twice, once as a credit and once as a debit. So what is happening? It says to replace check number 8741 for newsletters.
Finance Director is not here. For clarification. Also, excuse me, Counselor, we have one other citizen wishing to speak, that's Ms. Penny McDonald. My apologies, Ms. McDonald.
Thank you very much, and good evening, everyone. Good evening. I just wanted to say that I received this newsletter, and I thought it was excellent. Because it was very clear. I've been coming up here on a monthly basis and sharing some of the very same information that's in it. But it was quite clear. It was quite clear the information is inside. Now, I hear people complaining, the same person came up and said, why are you spending so much money on the mailing the newsletter out? So now you have it delivered a different way. Now they're up here complaining about that. So there are some people that you are just not going to be able to satisfy that. The other thing too, is that I hear people coming up here and they're talking about the borough manager receiving X amount of dollars, but the previous president paid the borough manager much more than what this gentleman is receiving. Also, I think people are forgetting the fact, people are talking about all these little issues. I'm going to talk through because it's messed with my time. People are coming up here talking about mailings. They're talking about things that don't apply to our budget. And because of the former police chief, we now have to spend over $387,000 out of our general fund. Nobody talks about that. They want to talk about how much money is spent for flyers, but $387,000 is coming out of the budget. To me, that's worth speaking about. The other thing too is that our former president stopped the solicitor from stopping the opening of that marijuana
distributor. The community said that they didn't want it. And let me say this, I'm not an advocate. I'm a resident of this of this borough. And I resent the fact that someone says that I'm an advocate because I was out there supporting the family. I live here. I've been living here for over 40 years. And I have the right to stand with whoever I want to stand with, just like you. Just like you. But what I am saying is that when you come up here, you want to complain about they mail it, and then they want to complain because they don't mail it. I think some people here just don't have anything to do with their lives. They come up here with that nonsense. The $387,000 that could affect our taxes. To me, you're never here. You're never here people talking about that. You're never hear about that dispensary where people, the community that came out on a regular basis, they said they did not want it. They said they didn't want it. But the mayor,
Right, I always want.
the former president, they stopped it. So therefore, what I'm up here to say, I'm looking at people who are doing things for the benefit of the borough.
Come on.
And not for themselves.
Come on.
When you come up here with nonsense stuff, it's just very disturbing. But guess what? You got that right. You got a right to come up here and say whatever you want to say.
Come on.
Think about it. $387,000 out of the budget that could affect our taxes opposed to the mailing of the doggone newsletter. Mailing. Thank you.
And I never stopped anything, that's not true. I don't have any power on council. I didn't stop anything.
Yeah, Councilman, you have a,
I raised my minutes to speak last time because I'm new to the community, but I would like to speak 3 minutes. 3 minutes. My name is Maluna Tunica. That's how you pronounce it.
yes, sir.
I'm former military, just came out. I live across the street. Been here 2.5 years. When I came here, we had a police chief that was making sure the community was safe. Like 45 seconds to 2 minutes because I know, because I had a stalker that was vandalizing my home. As soon as I called the officer with the beard, Officer McCullum, Officer Z, they came. I know their names. I had to speak to Detective Yeadon. I know their names. I developed a relationship with them here. But what I'm noticing now, since, everybody has an opinion, ma'am, but you've never been in a war zone. If you don't think your neighborhood, if you think your neighborhood is safe now without the police presence, you might as well go to Philly for a little while. And spend a couple When you have a police presence here,
Come on now.
people from over in the other county go like this. I don't want to drive up in here. They don't want to come up in here and stay.
Come on.
Because the police make sure that our streets are safe. And what's happening now, and I'm starting seeing a lot of things creep up, and PTSD is starting to activate. So as long as I'm feeling triggered, I know there's some violence in the neighborhood.
Come on.
Like a woman being attacked in front of the library. How about that? How about the little girl crying running up the street? And nobody
Talk about.
This is what we talking about, safety in our community, okay? So when you talk about they spending this amount of money, it's no amount of money you can put on the life of my child. I don't like him because of that mentality out. We need a police chief or somebody here that's going to do their job and that's
Come on now.
intelligent enough with technology to make sure our streets are safe and monitor our children. That's all I have to say.
Now.
There's a motion.
No, it's not. I'm finishing my questions.
We are on questions now.
We're on questions. We're on questions. So the $4,800 check that was initially issued, I see that it was returned and that it's being replaced. I don't understand why that's happening. That doesn't make sense to me, and it raises a red flag. That's number one. Number two, I see here paying for Consulting LLC $4,920 for website and video services. As we are all aware, Core Consulting is putting his own spin on the videos that he decides to upload. And he's creating snippets of I'm glad he has a great interest in me, but I do not believe his interest should be shown on our governmental website. It has come to my attention that the president of this council advised that with her blessing and approval, that he is allowed to torment anyone who speaks against her on any governmental website.
Black and white.
It's in writing and it was sent via email. I also have a response from our solicitor, Mr. Bob, advising that our governmental website should not be utilized in that manner because it's political. Although it may not be a crime, it is still inappropriate for our website to be used in that
I
manner.
have information that it may be a crime. You can't use this house on every level.
That's gonna shut us up. That's
Mr. Mayor,
can't use
you do
public-
not, Mr. Mayor.
Right,
you do
right,
not
because
have-
our website, everything that, I'm not done, I don't know what this chit chat is about, but everything that helps this borough to move is paid by tax dollars. Our tax dollars should not be paying for someone's political agenda. And that's what is happening with our social media platforms. And Sharon Council has given the authority for him to do so. And it's wrong. So we're paying $4,920 for trash services on our website. That's what we're doing. We're just throwing money away, throwing it away. I noticed, again, Joel Avery, public relations. I never met Mr. Avery. I never met Mr. Avery. But again, we're cutting a check for $4,500. We are in the 8th month of the year. Every month since January 2022, he has received $4,500. I also noticed just for this month alone, our legal fees have totaled $16,107 just for this month alone.
How much year to date?
Just for this month alone.
Too much.
That's ridiculous. Because since we took office in January of 2022, not me, not some of the other counselors, but
Thank you, Beanie.
people have been able to have, to date, 3 major lawsuits filed against us. And this month alone, $16,000 in legal fees. And we're talking about $380,000 for public safety. That's a problem. We're saying people are complaining about mailings and things like that. Those aren't complaints, those are concerns, because money adds up. We're wasting a lot of money, and we're supposed to be watching.
Councilor Beatty, you're recognized.
Thank you. In regard to Joel Avery, once again, I believe if he's going to receive $4,500 every month, we need to see some type of itemized bill or some.
How about seeing him?
Or see him, because, you know, just billing us every month, just because he is a public relations, what is he doing? Is he consulting you on the website? Is he, like, we don't even know what this man is actually doing for $4,500 a month. So I don't know any vendor that can just perform services and they don't submit any type of bill or something that shows the services that they render. We have no idea what this man is doing. I don't believe we should just be paying people
just, because in name, they are a public and the problem with this is that he doesn't even represent all of council. He's only representing 4 people, or really maybe even 1 person at this point. So he doesn't represent me. In regard to the in regard to the newsletter, why aren't all 7 of us getting any kind of input into this newsletter? There are people in this community asking, are you asking anyone else? We don't exist, like we don't have we're not asked to contribute anything. I'm like really tired of coming here every month and feel like I'm just taking up a seat when I'm not being included on this council. I'm a council person just like the rest of them. And I need to have an input in that newsletter. I need to be visible as much as the rest of them. So that's going to stop. Our tax money, also all y'all talking about y'all residents, we're residents too. So our tax money pays for everything your tax money pays. So we need to be included. We're going to stop this, as Councilor wrote out, this working in silos, pretending like it's just 4 people up here. There are 7 councilors on this council, and we need to be included in everything regarding this council. That is the newsletter, the website. We are not asked for any kind of input, and that is going to stop. And if you want us to vote to approve this crap, it ain't happening. It's not happening.
Councilor Johnson, you have the floor. Thank you. On page 5, Nicholas Alessandro Jr. Why, I don't understand why he's being paid $340.20. Normally, it's $170.10. Unless this is for 2 people and it's not stipulating, so. So I'm probably gonna do that with those who make it. Okay. Also,
I didn't hear the answer, I didn't hear the response.
on page 5, for Medicare, for the post-retirement benefits for Nicholas D. Alessandro Jr., most people get paid $170.10. He's being paid $340.20, and I don't understand why, but President Council says I have to speak with Mr. Nichols about. On page 7.
We don't need to approve this accounts payable list if we can't get the answers to our questions.
Thank you.
Motion to table accounts payable list. Motion to table. We don't need to get the answers to why. And if Mr. Nichols can't make the council meeting, then we don't need to vote on the accounts payable list. That's the bottom line. I'm not voting on this. We don't even know why these people getting paid when they're getting paid.
Also on page 7, Verizon Technology, it says vehicle tracking services, $258.96. And I need to ask the mayor if some of our police vehicles have travel systems. So what is tracking?
I don't know what that pertains to, but I don't believe that's the police. We don't have.
I believe it's for the code video.
Yeah, maybe the code, it's not the police. We don't want police to be tracked. They need to track people. We don't need to track our police. Otherwise, we won't need it.
Councilor Beatty, I believe you put a motion.
Yes, I did. I made a motion to table the accounts payable list. We don't know why these expenses are being paid. We can't get anything. It's deferred to Mr. Nichols. Well, Mr. Nichols is not here. So,
I second.
Second. She second.
Are there any questions? It's been moved and properly seconded. Are there any questions?
I don't think we need to hold up all bills because of 2 or 3 items. I think we need those items can be held.
There's a motion on the floor.
There's a motion on the floor. Are there, anyone in favor of tabling the motion? Would you please indicate by raising your hand? To table the motion, yes.
I am.
Okay. Those opposed, would you please raise your hand?
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
I make a motion to amend the original motion to exclude the payment of $4,920 to Core Consulting LLC based upon the fact that he is not performing his services that he was hired to perform. form. Also, exclude $4,500 to Joel Avery based upon the fact that we have yet to see any itemized billing from Mr. Avery. And more importantly, we have yet to even see him. So at this,
That's your motion?
at this time, yeah, a motion to amend, to exclude those two items.
It's been moved and properly second. Are there any other questions with regards to the motion to amend the motion with those particular stipulations? All in favor, which indicate by raising your hand.
Roll cloud.
Those opposed, which indicate by raising your hand.
So y'all see it, right?
Don't answer questions, raise your hand.
So we can allow vendors to basically break the law and we'll still pay them.
The motion to approve the accounts payable list, I'm asking for all that are in favor, which you indicate by raising your hand.
So moved.
Second.
Are we in a democracy?
Are there, been moved and properly second to approve the accounts payable list, which you indicate by the approval by raising your hands. Those opposed, would you indicate?
I oppose. And roll cloud. We really should be taking a roll call.
Okay, the motion carries.
What can they do now?
Under new business,
Hey, Beth.
consolidation, the consideration for cash balance report of July.
So moved.
It's been moved and properly second to approve the cash balance report for July 2022. It's on the floor. Are there any questions? Hearing none, all in favor, would you indicate by raising your hand? Those opposed, would you indicate by raising your hand?
I oppose.
The motion carries. Under new business, consideration to, Mr. Dawson, have you received any verification since this meeting started with regards to the services for digital streaming services? Okay. I'm going to ask that what I'd like to entertain a motion until we are able to confirm further the communication. We are in the process of evaluating two other vendors that have submitted proposals to do the services for the media, live streaming, graphic design services, website management. And so I would like to have a tentative approval for the proposal if the vendor is still interested in providing these services to us. So on the contingency of whether this person still wants to offer the service, if they were, I think there's been a mix of communication here. But if they're still interested, we will move forward. If not, we'll put out a request for proposal for other vendors that can provide this service to us. And I'd like to entertain a motion to that extent.
So moved.
What does that mean?
Table the motion. Clarification from the secretary. Madam President would like to table a motion as it relates to the hiring of April LCC and she's asking for a motion to table this particular motion. Yes,
Give me
ma'am.
a second. Who said April? Is Carrie Johnson?
Your principal, the one you want to hire. And accept the motion.
Point of clarification, please.
Yes,
The motion is what, Madam President?
yes.
The motion is to either rescind for Ms. Kelly or to table for the other young lady who wants to be our webmaster. I think her name is April.
Okay, April.
So we need to rescind first and then.
Okay. I wish the motions had been separate because that lends itself to the confusion here.
My apologies, Madam President.
Your apology is accepted, thank you. So the consideration, so I will restate the motion. I'd like consideration to rescind Kelly Johnson, who had submitted an application last month as the new webmaster to engage in services. We'd like to approve Pink Social Strategies to provide digital communication.
Madam Secretary, Madam President, can you make the motion, please, to rescind the hiring of Ms. Kelly Johnson?
Let's separate them.
Separate them and ask for a motion, then it has to be second, and then ask for a vote on it. And secondly, you can then ask for the tabling of the second person for the webmaster, ma'am.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and properly second to separate these two motions on the floor.
Can you state it on the floor as a separation?
The
When they
Kelly
make the
Johnson.
motion, can't be a so moved. It has to be separated by a motion. A motion made by the council. You just can't do it that way.
So, the motion's on the floor, all in favor of separating the.
And anybody
Kelly
that says
Johnson
yes, you don't
section.
even know what you're
Would you
saying yes and
indicate-
no to.
Would you indicate, can I have a second, please? A second to rescind the motion for Kelly Johnson.
So moved.
Is there a second? It's been moved and properly second to rescind the hiring of Kelly Johnson as the new webmaster.
I make a motion to table all of this, because you're confusing me and the people.
So the,
I'm making a motion to table. I'm making a motion to table this, because this is highly confusing.
Thank you.
It is. When you work in silos, this is what happens.
is there a second to table?
Yes.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded to table this motion. All in favor, would you indicate by raising your hand?
Roadwell.
All opposed, would you indicate by raising your hand? To oppose the table of the motion.
Of consideration.
So if you don't know, vote no.
So we need a motion.
I couldn't follow.
It's been moved and properly seconded.
Are we
Okay, so
tabling this?
the motion,
If no, all those were not taken.
There wasn't, Madam Council, there was a motion to table. It was Ms. Beatty, and I think yourself who wanted to table, and the yes, and that was, there was, and then it was a motion to table. That failed.
That motion failed.
Excuse me, that motion failed. Now we're back to the motion to rescind Kelly Johnson. We have a first and we have a second. Madam President is asking for a vote on that particular motion.
Why are we rescinding Kelly Johnson?
and we voted.
Why are we rescinding Kelly Johnson?
We're rescinded because she is no longer interested in providing the services.
Why?
Okay, that's it. Okay, that's it. Now for the, excuse me. I'd like to entertain a motion. Pardon me? All in yeah, I did. But we'll do it again. All in favor of, Rescinding the motion for, we took the vote. It has been, the vote, all in favor?
Okay, thank
You
you.
indicate by raising your hand.
Thank you.
Those that are opposed, but you indicate by raising your hand.
I'm abstaining. I don't have any information.
So the
Thank you.
motion,
Thank you.
so the motion carries to rescind
Ms.
Kelly
Booth,
Johnson.
abstaining, thank you.
To the team. So the next one. So you're tabling for pink social strategy.
That's what we are.
That's where we are now.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Are there any questions? I have a question. The question is, this person is interested in providing services. They have been interviewed and reviewed by the manager. Or we would like to have this person, based on their experience, based on 13 years of experience in doing this type of work, to be available to this community and to this borough. So that is correct. April for Pink Social Strategies. I don't think it's necessary to prolong it. We will not be meeting as far as this is our meeting for this month. Starting in September, we'll have a workshop, starting back up in the regular meetings, the third Thursday. So I'd like not to postpone if these services can be available for us, starting September, the first part of September. There's been a lot of discussion and concern with regards to social media. This person, our manager, has interviewed and gone through extensive research with, and found that to be appropriate for the needs that we have in the borough. So if, I would rather not rescind, but I would rather entertain a motion to approve Pink Social Strategies at this meeting at this time.
I have a question.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and properly second. Now for any questions. Councilor Roadcloud, you are acknowledged.
Are we terminating the contract with Core Consulting?
The services of core.
Are we terminating the contract with Core Consulting
Mr.
of all services involving Core Consulting?
Well, we will no longer require the services of Mr. Core.
Are we terminating the contract?
He doesn't have a contract.
We're terminating his services.
Thank
We need to make that clear.
you.
Of all services relating to the social media, the websites, everything, live streaming, running to get coffee, whatever you hired him to do. We're terminating all services.
And all compensation down to.
And absolutely.
Mr. Core, any services as we may require, he is not totally, not required. Is any services that he may be able to provide in the event that we may need services from him?
No.
I answered your question.
My other question,
With respect to able to do photography, is he doing anything? So that's all he's doing.
Excuse me, Councilor.
I had a question here.
Councilor, just a moment. The Vice President was asking me a question, and I've been clarifying her question. So she asked a question if there was a need for photography. We do not have Mr. Core on this particular contractual relationship that we had with him. That relationship ends. But just like any other vendor that you may have services for in the past, you may want him to do something in the future. He's not blocked from providing any services. If I'm
He
making
should
myself
be,
clear.
he should be, based on his performance and based on his behavior, he should be.
Can I speak, please? You're saying that the new person that is coming on will be taking pink social strategies, will provide all digital communication services, the website, the social media, the live streaming, and the graphic design services.
That is correct.
That will no longer be done by core
Consultant, that is
Okay.
correct. That is
All right.
correct. That is the clarification.
Thank you.
Yes, Councilor Beatty, you have.
So, my question is, since he's not providing the services that he was hired to provide, what is his compensation going to be? Is it like a fee for service type deal? I mean, when you said that he would no longer be, because you said, Mr. Dodson, his services will no longer be, whatever you said. It's so much, whatever, required. So why are we even considering him to take, we can get a photographer, anybody, we can find another photographer. So why are we still using, when we know that that is a problem? So then he just will throw pictures up on stuff? Oh, I'm taking pictures. Like, no, we don't, he doesn't need to be utilized because he's abusing what he was hired to do. And we are not all in agreement to his services, so it's best for him to move along, and we can get another photographer. We can hire a person just for an event. There's thousands of cameras. So, I just don't understand why we got
Councilor Beatty, you can discuss that.
What? It's a question.
Councilor Beatty, there's nothing conclusive about your question.
The question is, why are we considering Gary Ford as a photographer? You're removing he was hired to be our webmaster. So you're taking that role away from him. Oh, we might be able to use him as a photographer. No, we don't have to use him as a photographer. Why are you even considering
Because
it?
the operative term, Councilor Beatty, is may. That's the operative term.
But it should not be.
So, yeah, that.
So how much will you make?
If someone buys the bank,
Okay,
you're going to hire him as a that makes no sense. It makes no sense. And I have another question.
Your motion, you're not recognized.
I have
You're
another
not
question.
recognized.
I still have another
You're not
question.
recognized.
I still have another question.
Councilor Beatty, do you have any other?
Yes, I am.
Well, I actually wasn't
Yes,
finished
I am.
asking my question. My other question was, his
Yeah,
compensation doesn't need to
very
be
disrespectful. I'm very.
whatever Gary, I can't remember the exact figure, whatever his fee was every month. He doesn't need to be making I don't want to see him on next month's AP list, the same figure for Gary Ford if he has been now removed out of that role. We don't need to keep that
Councilor
up.
Beatty, that is.
So,
I don't want to see any compensation
I know
at
you
all.
don't. I know. He doesn't need to be
Councilor
He don't need to be
Councilor Beatty, you have to direct your questions to the chair.
I did direct my
I
question.
know, but not across the.
Well, that was my only question, like, I'm not in agreement with him staying, but we just have to.
Well, that is your prerogative. Councilor Rowe.
My second question, with respect to Pink Social Strategies, I took the liberty of looking at her personal website, and I did not see anything on her personal website that says she has the experience to do this type of work we're asking her to do.
Mr. Dodson.
It seems like a majority of her work is in event planning.
I interviewed over the telephone, April, and she sent me at least 4 URLs of the work that she's done. She has 12 years of webmaster experience. She's a graduate of St. Joseph University. She explained to me how our web would be redesigned, how would we have new Facebook, Twitter, and the one that starts with the S, which I cannot remember.
Well, why weren't we provided with the URL so we can see?
No, Madam Councilor, I respect you, and all that you said this evening, you asked a question, this young lady, in speaking to her, is qualified in my opinion, but you are counselors. And so in sending out the proposals, you have to make the decision as to what you want. All I can tell you is from excuse me, ma'am, all I can say is from what I heard and my observation is that she is a candidate for webmaster It's up to the legislators to decide if you want to do this. And on the floor presently is either a contingency or it's a vote to hire. So as a secretary, I need
I
clarification.
asked about credentials.
Check credentials, in my opinion.
In your opinion.
I'm the borough manager. You are legislator. In my opinion, she is qualified to be the webmaster.
But you did not provide the credentials to all counselors.
Ma'am.
I did not receive any URLs for me to review to make an educated decision on
Is it in
this.
your packet, Counselor?
No, it's not.
No, that is, you are
It's
absent.
not.
Madam President, with due respect, Councilor Rowe is right. I did not provide that. I did peruse it, and that's why I'm able to make the statement that I've made. Again.
Carry on. Let's
Thank
carry
you,
on.
thank
Carry
you,
on.
thank you, thank
Carry
you,
on.
thank you.
But you do recommend it.
I do, I do.
Okay, any further questions or comments?
Madam President, we have to declare. Earlier, there was a motion to approve, April with contingencies. Is the contingency still on the floor?
No.
Thank you. At this time, you had made a statement about the hiring of Pink or Miss April. So I'm just asking for a motion.
Just a moment.
Yes.
Just a moment. The solicitor has indicated that we can do the same thing we did with Kelly before, if, in the event that, that this vendor is still not interested, that we can, we can deal with the next month. It's on the floor. It's 6 of one hand, half a dozen of the other. If you vote to hire her tonight, and she decides that she's taking some other work somewhere else, it's evident. It's a moot question. So we're just gonna call for the vote. Those in favor, would you indicate by raising your hand? Those that oppose, would you indicate by raising your hand?
I oppose.
The motion carries. Okay. To the minutes, I would like to, what's going on in the should not be going on. For item number 6 on the agenda, we'd like to move as expeditiously as we can. If there are any corrections, deletions, no additions, if the minutes that you have read and reviewed, if you find any corrections or deletions, please inform us for June 6th, June 16th, July 21, and July 27th. As you will recall, last month, we did not have a full council meeting because certain councilors exited the chambers, not having a quorum to continue to conduct the business. I also want to make one adjustment to this agenda, moving the engineer's report, number 11, up to number 7 when we proceed. So for the minutes, and if I'd like to have a motion on the floor to approve the minutes for June 6, 16, 21, and 27. So any corrections or deletions? It's been moved and properly second. Are there any corrections?
Madam President, may I ask that the person who made the motion, I didn't hear it, and excuse me, and the person who seconded it. Thank you. Any corrections?
I don't even have those minutes. I only have minutes for July 20th. That's all I have, the 21st and 27th of July.
All right, Councilor Rosenthal, do you have any corrections or deletions?
I don't have the minutes for June 6th or June 16th. I only have July 21st and July 27th.
We will, if it pleases the council, we can table June 6th and 16th until those minutes are provided in the next meeting. So we'll make that amendment to this motion. For July 21st and July 27th, Councilor Rosedown, are there any corrections or deletions? Councilor Bishop, by Councilor. Okay.
Oh, there is. For July 27th, there is a correction. Number 6, Roman numeral 6, new business, number 2. Motion to engage the Valari Group to conduct an efficiency study of the Yeadon Borough Police Department and a search for a Yeadon Borough Chief of Police. That was not the motion that was presented. The motion that was presented related to an investigation with respect to the Sean Morcho.
And that is not correct.
Yes, it was. That's what's listed on the agenda from last month. Now you're telling me I can't read.
No, the motion was to approve both the proficiency study of the Yeadon Police Department by the Valori Agency, and then in addition to that motion was to approve the Valori Group for the search for the police chief for Yeadon Borough.
That is not what was mentioned at the last month's meeting, and that's not what was on the last month's agenda.
Everything is recorded?
Yes.
And everything is, so we can pull down for the benefit of Councilor Cloud? That's not an issue.
Please do, Mr. Dodson, follow through. Thank you. Are there any other observations for the minutes of the 27th? No, we don't have to take. We'll provide okay. Are there any other observations? Okay. Any other observations? Okay. All in favor of approving the minutes for July 21st and 27th, would you please indicate by raising your hand? Those opposed, would you indicate by raising your hand?
I oppose.
The motion carries. For Mr. Mercuso, would you please come to the podium, sir? Our borough engineer.
Thank you. I have kind of changed the report that I've been doing. I just have a report now, just 11 discussion items for tonight's meeting. A few months back, we were authorized to do a property condition assessment of this building. That report was provided to Jeff prior to his departure and to the borough manager, which is currently being evaluated.
Please.
The borough was awarded a 2021 CDBG grant for sanitary sewer rehabilitation work on Cypress Street. This project has been postponed for a couple of years because it was the pleasure of the borough, again talking with Public Works, to not have this work done until school was out. So we are currently working on that project now, but that project would be a summer of 2023 project so that it is done when school is out at that location. This year the borough was awarded a 2022 CDBG grant for work on Duff Avenue. We're in the process of getting the survey of work on Duff Avenue, and we'll proceed with that project. I do have a couple forms from the county that have to be signed by the borough manager, and I'll hand those up before I leave. And Isaac, I can get those from you at another time. We have been continuing to work with the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission on another grant for the West Cobb Creek Parkway infrastructure improvements. This is for a series of medians and traffic calming, handicap ramps. That's a rather large grant. It involves it involves PennDOT. So we did have a scoping meeting with PennDOT this month, and we're continuing to work with DVRPC and PennDOT on proceeding with that project. We had a Zoom call or a Teams meeting this month with the The library, there's an opportunity for a grant coming up in October, and they are looking to do window and door replacement there. So I'm looking to get that grant submission together for the library for that project. We have had several discussions at council meetings about road repairs, Cobb Street Parkway, Yeadon Avenue, Bailey Road, and the speed hump on McDade. And we met with the paving contractor, Steve Kroll, and we finally have that work scheduled, hopefully for the end of October, that we're looking to move forward. Working on a sanitary sewer issue on Cyril Avenue. This week, last week, we received a video of the 800 block of Yeadon broken laterals. Michael Zuller provided us with that video, and we did review that video today, and I'll go over that with Mike in terms of our suggestions for repairs there, and we'll talk about that at a future council meeting. We did also meet with Jeff and Mike on July 15th to review a series of storm sewer projects throughout the borough. We're right now preparing a cost estimate for each of those, and we present those at a future council meeting also for consideration. And then the intersection of McDade and Church, where we had talked several months about the issues there. We continue to work with PennDOT on some remediation work at that intersection. Most importantly, the installation of a speed hump on the west side of the intersection on McDade. That does need PennDOT approval to be installed. We submitted one series we submitted the first application to PennDOT. They came back with a series of revisions. We made those revisions and resubmitted that last week to PennDOT. Hopefully that will be approved in the next week, and then that will be done with the paving work that I mentioned earlier at the various locations. And then the only item that I have tonight that would require council approval, again, if you remember at the June 6th meeting, we talked about the drainage issue. There was a gentleman who came to the council about a drainage problem on his property. We had met, we came up with a solution. It's going to require an easement between the borough and that property owner. Working with the solicitor's office, we got the solicitor's office everything that they need to prepare the easement, but although it was discussed at the June 6th meeting, there was no vote taken at the June legislative meeting for the solicitor to prepare that easement. So the ask tonight is for Borough Council to approve the Borough Solicitor to prepare the easement so that we can get that to the property owner and then schedule that drainage work that needs to be done with that property.
Is there an estimated, Mr. Percuso, is there an estimated cost to remedy that drainage?
Once we have the easement in place, then we'll be able to prepare the council with that cost. There were a couple solutions that were discussed, and again, I think we've come up with a solution the most economic for the borough, and again, I'll present that at the September meeting once the solicitor prepares the easement.
What is that, Sean?
Everything's been prepared for the easement. The only thing we need is if council can approve it tonight. The property owner is elderly in our state. She's actually coming in this weekend. So we're going to get a notary if everything goes through, hopefully to meet with them on Monday, because one person is a tough signature to grab, but I think we have that lined up.
Okay. So would you state the motion?
The motion would be for council to approve, and the borough solicitor can help with, make a motion to allow the borough solicitor to prepare the easement documents for signature by the property owner.
Via Mr. Percuso, may I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Is there a second? Councilor Beatty, second. It's been moved and properly second. Are there any further questions for the?
I have a question.
Councilor Rose.
So, we don't know the cost that is going to be associated with this project at this point.
Right.
So, if the solicitor prepares the easement and then you find out the cost, and the cost is, let's just say, exuberant, and council votes against the cost,
I understand the question. I don't think the cost, I mean, exuberance, as you know, it's all relative, right? I think the costs are in the $10,000 to $15,000 range, I think is what we're talking about. It's the installation of a pipe coming off of Providence. At one point, we were thinking of taking it all the way down to the creek, but we don't think that we need to do that. So it's just going to be a small pipe coming off Providence, an end wall, and then some riprap to dissipate the energy. And that, what happened, well, I mean, you know, there was the problem is that the state did work there, and a lot of that water just went willy-nilly, and it's not directed, and that's why it's inundating the property owner. We need to just direct it directly into the creek.
Okay.
But could you clarify?
That's sort of magnitude. I said I will have a definite cost estimate
Right.
because I have to work with Arnell to find out exactly.
Yeah, I was just afraid having a solicitor, prepare the easement, drafting the easement, and then you come back and say, well, the cost is gonna be like $800,000.
Right, it won't be that. I get it.
Quick question for you. Could you give the location again? Because there were two questions before this council in June. One had to do with Hereford's place, and then the other.
That's the one.
So this is by the hospital.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
May I ask a question? Yeadon Avenue has been in disarray for a long time. Can you tell me when you might anticipate that street will be completed?
That's
I
what
thought
I
a
said.
motion was on the floor.
The motion is on the floor. Yeah, the motion is on the floor, so we'll address that. So all in favor, so we voted?
No, we
We have
didn't.
a motion. So all in favor, would you indicate by raising your hand?
Rose Loud approved.
The motion carries. The vote is unanimous.
And Councilwoman Johnson, I had said earlier, Cobb Street Parkway, Yeadon Avenue, Bailey Road, and McDade, the speed hump on McDade, all will be done at the end of October.
Fantastic, okay. Thank you so much.
Just one question, Mr. Bakusa. In our conversation about Dave Boulevard, can you give us an update on the second speed hump on the 900 block of McDade Boulevard, since traffic will be flowing in one direction and there'll be cars parked on both sides of the street? We had that conversation, and for the benefit of the resident who may be viewing this, if you can speak to that particular second speed bump, please.
Yeah, the good thing about the second speed hump is we don't need PennDOT's approval for it. So we can include that in this round of when we do this other work, we can include that at the same time.
Also, to the property owner, Mr. and Mrs. Williams, they do have bollards on their property. So along with our improvements and their improvements, there's a high probability that their property will not be impacted again by someone inebriated or having a stroke or diabetes attack.
I really believe, and we've had, as you know, we've had several conversations with PennDOT, we've met out there. I believe that the one speed hump, because the second one further down is got another purpose, right? That's because of the cars that are, when we change it. We're not anticipating we're not making the one-way change with this speed hump on McDade. That's another project, right? So the road will continue to be two ways until we implement the second part of this project. But the installation of the speed hump on the west side of McDade, I believe, will be very difficult to come through that intersection with any kind of speed without first wrecking your car. So I think that will help the Williamses and everyone else at that intersection.
And for the benefit of the residents, we have intensified the lighting at the corner of Church Lane and McDade Boulevard. And the resident who owns the property on Church Lane at McDade Boulevard have cut back their trees, so it's no longer dark, or particularly dark, at that intersection. And also, the neighbor across the street from Mrs. Williams, she has now protection on her property. Is that true?
Right.
Thank you. She built a wall. There's a wall built that has stones in it. So unlike the balance, it comes quarter way up, if the car impacts it, it won't have problems.
I have a question for you. Are you in line common driveways. And maybe, Mr. Dodson, you could give me a status
Yes, ma'am.
with respect to the common driveways. It's been maybe 6 months or more when we last discussed utilizing some of the recovery funds to help assist with repairing the common driveways. Where are we right now?
I can speak to the fact that I did tour with our code enforcement officers as well as with the code director. The suggestion is one of two things, that we buy a large portion of asphalt to be stored at the Public Works Department, and residents for free can come by and pick them up for small divots. We are looking at a number of vendors who will be able to negotiate with our residents in terms of having their driveways repaired. One of the issues that we're having is that a lot of our residents do not have their deeds to their properties. So when we go by and we look at the rear of the buildings, the contention is it's not mine. And so therefore our code officers have their hands tied somewhat, because the resident said it's not mine, it's hers, and she said it's not mine, it's theirs. So because they don't have their deeds, we have an issue in asking them to repair their driveways. To avoid that, we have those two suggestions, and when I come up with a firm one, I'll let you know.
No, that's not what I asked.
Yes,
I didn't ask about temporary repair. I asked about the permanent repairs with respect to utilizing some of the recovery funds to help assist the property owners. Now, the property owners not having their deeds, that has nothing to do with anything, because deeds are recorded and we can easily just go and pull the deeds. But we all were in agreement that we were going to come up with a plan to utilize some of the COVID recovery funds to help assist the residents with a permanent solution to repair these common driveways.
Don't recall the conversation.
Of course you
I don't recall the conversation, don't mean to be rude, but because you asked the question, I will not hesitate to look into using those funds.
No, we had
for
a
that.
conversation, now
Thank
you don't recall it.
As
Now
I-
you had
For the
to
record,
mention-
I do not
Okay.
recall.
Okay, all right. Well, Mr. Nichols recalls the conversation. Former Councilor Ron Francis recalls the conversation.
That's right,
Former
right.
Councilor Rafi Cave recalls the conversation. But you don't recall our conversation.
For the record, I do not recall the conversation.
Let him please.
Thank you, Councilor. Thank you, Mr. Dodson.
Thank you.
And can I just state for the record as well, July 27, 2022, agenda for the council special meeting, new business. It says, consideration to engage the services of the Valari Group to conduct an independent third-party investigation to the tragic death of Sean Marshall. What's in the minutes is not reflective of what is in this agenda, and this was the motion that was placed on the floor. Let's pull the tapes. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilor, and thank you, Mr. Dodson. Next on yes, so Mr.
When you're able, could you take a look at Union Avenue near the Now Swim Club? I understand that there's some issues going on there, and see if maybe a speed bump might be need to be put there, or a stop sign, or whatever you think. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilor. Mr. Producer, you may complete your report.
That's the end of my report.
Oh, right. Well, thank you very much, and we'll look forward to, with the fee, I guess I just have one other question. With regards to the request for feasibility study at the community park as it relates to whether that's a buildable area there as being considered for one of the alternative locations for the Yeadon Recreation Complex. Any updates?
Yeah, I spoke with Mr. Dodson about that, and we are going to provide the borough with a cost for that feasibility study.
And the other question, with regards to the building here, do you need a motion tonight employing your services for the repairs after your, from the report that you gave earlier on the repairs that need to happen in this building?
I don't think we need a motion this evening. I think the next step would probably be to meet with Mr. Dodson, go through the report, and also with Mike Pizzullo, go through the report and make a determination which of the repairs are most necessary and imminent. Because I don't think we have to really do everything that's in the report. So the ones that are most necessary, prioritize them, and then we can put together a bid for to get a bid for those repairs.
All right. Sounds good. Yes, Councilman.
So you're asking about another feasibility study for community park in addition to the one that was at the Yeadon Swim Club for the recreation?
Yes, we'd like to have the information, and then there's going to be a town meeting for input from the entire community, a town hall meeting. So we'd like to have those items done so that we can see what the residents' preferences are going to be.
Okay, and in addition to what Councilor Johnson said, I brought that speed hump issue up to the mayor and to Lieutenant Burns at Union.
Same location?
Same, but also on Whitecomb and Providence, because that's another high traffic, because that's where I live. So I know that that is a school bus stop right on the corner of Providence and Whitecomb. And there is a lot of concerns about people blowing through stop signs constantly on Union Avenue and Whitecomb Avenue. So my question would be, if you could speak with both the mayor in regard to the email that I sent.
Also, Mr. Capuso, there's a similar request for Longacre Boulevard. The people often use Longacre thoroughfare to avoid going down Baltimore Avenue. So they will use from Whitecomb and come straight through, and they ignore the stop signs. They just go right through. There are now children on the block, small children, residents and families that have recently moved there. So there is a concern there for a study or an evaluation there.
The traffic study.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions?
For the benefit of council as well as the residents, I will be asking council to peruse a proposal for speeding meters that are mobile, and so to address the issue of speed humps, police patrols, traffic patrols. We will be asking for 2 of these meters, and they will be positioned, as you spoke, on Longacre Boulevard, Union Avenue, wherever it's determined that they need them. So I will be asking council to look at that proposal.
Okay. I'm going to pass these up, Isaac, for you.
Thank you, Mr. Capuso. Oh, you didn't announce the approval of the $191,000. Was that for, Mr. Johnson? It was 191,000, the grant.
30%.
Oh, that's the 30% for the CBG.
Right.
From the, okay.
That's the one for Duff Avenue.
For Duff Avenue.
Oh, that's
181.
That's 181.
181.
181,000. CBG grant.
Madam President, may I ask for a clarification from our engineer?
Yes, sir.
Sir, can you address the issue that came up last month about the 194,000 and our 30% contribution, which I think was around 287,000, and the probability of us receiving that money, and if we were to receive that money, when would the Borough of Yeadon and its council be obligated to chip in their 30%?
That would definitely be a 2023 project. So it would be not something for this fiscal year.
Would it impact?
And I think that, I mean, it's always hard to talk about the probability of receipt of a grant. I think it was a good grant application, and we'll just sort of see how it goes. They'll announce them probably early, probably in November. So it definitely would not be a 2022 project, it will be a 2023, maybe even a 2024 project.
So it will not have any impact on our budgets, in your opinion, for 2023, but maybe 2024?
No, absolutely not.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
All right, thank you.
Next is going to be the manager's report.
The report will be for a legislative meeting dated July 21st, 2022. On 6/22/22, Borough Manager met with members of the Benoni Engineering Firm, Mr. Wilkins of Public Works, to discuss the remediation project at 7 Dr. Place. Also discussed with the engineering firm the use of a GIS surveillance system for our underground piping issues, since we have a lot of them. Also, the rewriting of the project scope for Community Park Tot Lot, so that we can begin the process of ordering children's equipment and installing it. On January the 6th, a borough manager visited Image 360 to finalize the banner designs with Vice President Johnson and to place the final order. On the 18th of July, the borough manager was present at Flag Day, which in my opinion was a rousing success, with live music, dancing in the street, vendors, and the return of our cars. The departments involved include the Recreation Department, Code Department, Public Works Department, the Police Department, and the Fire Department. The event was within our budget numbers, donations were solicited, and it was estimated around $6,700 in donations. The borough did receive a refund of $800 from the Zito Brothers production due to equipment malfunction. On the 15th, the borough manager had a Zoom conference with Troy Leonard and Joshua Thomas of Kelly Maiello. They were architects concerning the feasibility study, its allowable uses, including a conclusion summary of a feasibility uses, meaning the building of a recreation center on that site would be doable. The creation of open recreational spaces with the assistance of a landscape architect. That's all in one sentence. Copies of the feasibility study along with a summary are available upon request. On 6/30/22, the borough manager accompanied Mr. Roy Hunter to Urban Roots Farm in Marco Newtown Township, where the Recreation Department and the farm have a relationship that allows for some of the residents of Yeadon to receive free vegetables. Mr. Jack Goldenberg, the CFO of the farm, gave Mr. Hunter and myself a tour of the farm. I also visited Camp Garrett in that area where some of the young people from Yeadon have benefited from participating in a free, one-of-a-kind camping experience. That's my report for July 21st. What I'll do now is give you a quick overview of my report for August 18th, 2022. And my report consists of recommendations to council, and one being the updating of specifics for code and zoning ordinance, which I put in the packages, researching the price for 2 new code vehicles through CoStar. Our vehicles, one is 2001, the other one is 2003 or 7. We had air conditioners. We had an air conditioner issue. We had a window that didn't work. So it's due time to replace those. And for the sake of energy efficiency, we're looking at four-cylinder vehicles. I'm also recommending to update the current job application to include a criminal background check. That has been done, and felony, not in the last 5 years, but ever, has been added to the application. So at this particular point, anyone applying for a position at Yeadon Borough will be given that new application, which will have you ever been convicted of a felony? Recommendation that the engineer, recommendation to review the new system for security at Borough Hall. And that simply means that our key fob system is old and outdated. The magnets no longer work properly. So our lieutenant was kind enough to forward me a proposal, which I in turn will forward to council, asking for that perusal of the proposal so we can get on with revising or reinstalling or having a new system installed. And the recommendation that the engineer report is read thoroughly, as there are issues that require immediate attention. We have, my assistant and myself have forwarded the entire report by way of email to all of the councils. If you did not receive one, please let me know, and I will resend it. The building is not in the greatest of shape. We don't have the money to do all that's necessary, but there are immediate remediation projects that need to take place. So I'll ask the councilors as a whole to take a look at that. Consideration in the near future for a proposal for a new air conditioning system for Borough Hall. Upon my request, we put in 3 new mobile air conditioning units in the auditorium. They are working fine in conjunction with the air conditioning system that we currently have, but we're down to 2 units that work out of 6. So in the very near future, we will be asking council again to look at a proposal to replace the entire air conditioning system for Borough Hall because it is at least 15 years old and is falling apart. My second item would be on dated August the 1st, Borough Manager met with Scott Ling, Direct Sales Representative for Copeland Incorporated, and Mike Pizzulo of Public Works. He's our foreman, to discuss what potential top light equipment would be suitable for Community Park New Top Lot. The discussion is still ongoing. We now have a different vendor, an additional vendor, and Councilor Talia Jones-Water and myself will be meeting with the vendor on the 25th at 1 o'clock to choose or look at equipment for the top lot. On the 5th of August, Borough Manager conducted a series of ride-alongs with the code inspectors covering their specific assigned areas. I am happy to report that most of the borough's neighborhoods are maintained at above average. A walkthrough was also completed with our code director, Rufus Stokes. We documented the need for several improvements along Church Lane and Longacre Court, which is at the rear of Longacre Court, and also on Redwood Avenue. Upon revisiting these locations, all of the improvements as stated have been made. Lastly, on the 11th of August, a Zoom meeting was conducted with the staff from Pannoni Engineering Firm concerning, and this is our engineer spoke on this earlier, this is reading, just to repeat it again, concerning the Keystone Grant application for the replacement of windows and doors at the Yeadon Public Library. Madam President, Council, this is my report.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
With respect to number 3, you said you're happy to report that most of the borough's neighborhoods are maintained at above average. I disagree with you. I don't understand what your standards are with respect to the quality of life, but I know for a fact that I have sent you several photographs of some very troubling issues, okay? Some of those issues are still outstanding, weeks later, still outstanding. On my block alone, there were several issues, which include holes in the roof that's fallen down. That's been like that for maybe almost a year, and it still has yet to be addressed. I've seen sidewalks that are in disrepair. I have photographs of all of these things that I have reported, and they are still not rectified. So I don't know which side of Yeadon, which blocks you actually perused, but I've walked the entire Yeadon, and I see a lot.
And I
that's
put
not
pictures
taken
up
care of.
as well today.
Yeah, there's pictures that were sent out that was distributed earlier. These pictures, I mean, I had these same pictures actually, but I'm not the only one that sees this. We see fences that are in disrepair falling down. There's a fence right down there, Washington Woods. I'm constantly reporting Washington Woods. Their fence is in disrepair. Not only is the fence in disrepair, but they have overgrown greenery. This is throughout the entire Yeadon Borough. This is not acceptable. It's not acceptable. So again, I strongly disagree that neighborhoods are maintained at above average.
I respect your opinion. I would ask, Madam
No,
President.
these are facts.
I would ask, Madam
Facts.
President, Madam President, that our co-director, who is present and will give his report, can address those issues. You and I having this discussion previously is documented, at least most of what Council Roadcloud has stated. If you'll be kind enough, Madam President, with your
Yes,
permission,
yes.
to ask him to come to the mic, please.
Yes, Mr. Stokes, would you come to the mic for your report, sir?
Good evening, council,
Good
residents.
evening.
The code report for July 2022. We had 2 zoning use applications. One was for 517 Church Lane. It was a business office that was approved. 918 Duncan Avenue, that was a deck that was also approved. There was no zoning hearing applications for July. Our hotspots throughout the borough, some that was reported. Church Lane Bridge, Fairview Avenue side, on Yeadon side across from the bar that's there. It's Upper Darby side. We've had some illegal dumping. Public Works in Upper Darby has been taking care of that. We had issues down Forest Creek Apartments, 300 North Front Street. We had trash pickup issues. They have been issued citations. Washington Wood Apartment Complex actually was abated by the borough. Our Public Works Department actually cleaned it up to a point where it was not anymore outstanding craziness, bushes and weeds. They actually took care of that last week. We also issued citations and we put a lien on the property. In reference to that, I received a call today from a new management company. They actually are a management company for 400 South Lansdowne. They are taking over managing Washington Woods, and I have a meeting with the business owner of the management company so we can take care of the Washington Woods issue. Action items, sheets to shade tree removals are being completed. Stumps are being grinded. Letters went out for the repairs where the stumps were removed for the owners to replace them. Some owners already started replacing the sidewalk where it was removed. We have notified a lot of owners and contractors they are not to leave grass clippings in the street. It causes, we issued citations to a few people in reference to that. There was no fire-related issues in July. Closed items, McAfee Court Senior Living Complex. Construction is complete. It was signed off by our commercial inspector. 543 Cypress Street, there was a property where the rear walls were falling off. The owner contracted a contractor that was taken care of, and the property is secure again. Upcoming items, Forest Creek Apartments, the annual inspections were scheduled for this week, and they were postponed per the owner of the property. There was some issues down there where he wants to be there when we do the inspections. The district court is now scheduling court cases from 2019 to 2022. That was because when COVID was, there was no court hearings. So every citation that was issued, they are scheduling court hearings now. Pennsylvania Association of Code Officials, they have a fall forum coming up in September 2022-23 for framing inspections per the 2018 IRC and the fire protection system. As the building code official, I have to take Con Ed classes and training, updated training, and updated changes in the code to keep my building code official certification as the borough building code official. Important issues. We still need to appoint a borough planning commission and a zoning officer. Ordinance change, I know Mr. Dodson brought it up. The zoning board is actually still working on changes of some of the zoning updates. And as Councilor Rooklow said, the rear driveways, one of the questions was what decision was made about the possibility of funding to assist the residents. Property maintenance abatement for July was $385, and for the total for the year was $14,299.66. Code revenue for July was $178,663.50. And that completes my report.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Revere Crossing, I reported several months ago, they had exposed electrical wires on the outside, hanging up on the outside of the wall on several of the units.
The cable box, they are actually, I spoke to the owner, they are cable boxes that they are trying to find the covers for them to replace them.
They're still exposed.
Yes, he's still trying to find them, or he's gonna have to put them in the box. And that's the responsibility of the cable company.
But again,
Yes,
how much leeway do you give? I mean, it's been months.
I understand.
It's been months.
I understand.
Not only that, but the dumpsters back there are an issue. There's dirty mattresses there every week.
And every Monday when I come in, I take pictures and we write them a citation.
So I believe at this point in time, well, we're past that point in time, but the solicitor did say to me, when we have habitual offenders, that he can help. He can help by sending correspondence to these habitual offenders and letting them know this is what we're going to do from this point on. Am I correct?
I would need, I don't need a vote, but I would at least need just at least some direction from President Harris, just if she says, do that, done. Right, but I would need some, I wouldn't just do that on my own. You have my summary of how it would be done. I'm familiar with that kind of work, would be fine doing it, but I would need to be told by counsel to do that.
But that is something that would help with these habitual offenders. Also, quick question. There's a home right off along West Couch Creek that has all their indoor furniture outdoors on the lawn. It's been like that for weeks, again. So I'm not quite understanding why I must have magic eyes because I see these things, but no one from code see these things. So.
And you said off of West Couch Creek?
Yeah, and again, I have photographs of that. And my last thing is I just want to make clear that we absolutely have an ordinance that prohibits any distribution of materials to be affixed to motor vehicles. I believe it's Chapter 61, Advertising Materials, Section 61-7. All materials distributed must be placed upon each property of the resident or business to which they are distributed in a manner that will prevent the material. So we're the borough, and we're going against our own codes.
I was unaware that our newsletters were distributed that way.
Yes, they were. Now, other businesses are going to follow suit, and now they'll start attaching materials to people, motor vehicles. How are we going to enforce the law and break it at the same time?
Right, I understand.
Thank you. Are there any questions
Just
from
one more, Madam
councilors?
President. Can you address, either now or afterwards, if property on Councilor's roadblock block that has the tarp, the falling roof shingles, the lower falling roof shingles, you and I spoke about it. It's, I think, a person who's elderly and cannot afford the repairs to that particular property. Can you address that, please?
Well, I know Inspector White that's his area. He did talk to the homeowner, and that is what she advised him, that she was unable to take care of it at this time. He did leave notices on her property.
What notices were left? Were they violations or citations?
Well, it's usually a violation notice, and that's what we issue when we go out to people's
Would
property.
you be kind enough to tell Councilor Brookcloud tomorrow what was issued and the difference for the benefit of our residents between a violation and a citation?
You would like me to?
Yes.
Okay, A violation is a notice to let you know that you are not in compliance with the borough ordinance, with whatever ordinance that you're in violation with. As per se, the trash, grass, snow, and what happens is we give you a time frame to correct it. If you do not correct it within that time frame, then a citation is issued. That citation is issued to the property owner. We take that citation to the court, and the court notifies the owner that a citation was issued in reference to them not being in compliance with the borough ordinance.
My last follow-up question would be, is there a dollar amount affixed to the violation?
This, not to the violation, but to the citation. And
What is the dollar amount that's fixed to the citation?
The dollar amount that we have in the ordinance starts at $100 to up to $1,000 a day.
Thank you, sir.
So, follow up.
Yes, ma'am.
So, I empathize with the senior citizen.
Yes.
However, what is the next step? What is the next step? Do we just leave it as is? What's the next step? What happens when that roof sustains so much damage from the weather, is already dilapidated, and this person walks outside and it collapses over top of her or him? Then what happens?
Well, hopefully that does not happen,
Yeah,
but what can be done now is I can reach out to COSA, which is in the county, and see if they have any funding or assistance for this residents to get that fixed.
Habitat for Humanity, they were looking to come to Yeadon to assist earlier this year, and no one reached out to them. They are currently in Lansdowne assisting.
Did anyone pass that information on to the borough? Because I never knew that they were available, because I would have contacted them myself.
All right, are there any other questions we'd like to complete the agenda here?
Yes, could you please still contact them?
Yes, I
Maybe they
will. I will reach out to them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask you if I can get those photos that you have?
What?
The ones that you have now, that you were getting, oh, no, I thought you had.
Oh,
them.
yeah.
The photos that you
I'll
have.
have them to you tomorrow morning.
Okay. Thank you very much. Solicitor's report, Mr. Bob.
Solicitor's report was, it's executive session material, that was canceled tonight. But if any counselors need an update, they can certainly reach out to me, and we will have the full update on the executive session materials at the next legislative meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Bob. Tax collector's report.
Good evening. I'm going to give you the financial report, but before I do that, I want to remind the residents that in September, on the 22nd, there's going to be an upset sale. Unfortunately, I've been going through the list of properties on the list to find out if there's any more money due to the borough. There's over 100 names listed on the upset sale list. I also want to remind the people, if you're on the list, you have been given notice. The sheriff is going to come out one more time. And you also can make arrangements now to pay in installments with the Tax Claim Bureau. So I want to encourage you to do so that your property does not sell for what I have noted as nominal amounts of back due taxes. Some as low as $400.
Oh my God.
But you can lose your house because any house that has not paid its taxes in the last 2 years is going to be on the upset sale. So if you know somebody, if you are that somebody, contact the Tax Claim Bureau, make arrangements.
Can you, tell me which tax are you speaking about? Is that the school tax, is that a borough tax, is that a county tax? Which one are you speaking about?
Oh, it could be county taxes, but it's also going to be borough taxes.
So you're talking about borough and county tax?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry, you said that was September 22nd?
Yes, September 22nd, 2022 in media.
Okay.
The income from 7/18/2022 from the last report to the current of 8/12/2022, there was income for real estate, trash, and borough sewer. The face amount of the real estate was $23,584.62. The discount was $299.20. The penalty amount is $859.43 for a total of $24,114.85. For the borough trash, we collected $4,275. Penalty, $399 for a total of $4,674. The borough sewer collected was $13,090. The penalty, $447. $13,444,075. Grand totals, $40,830.52 for the face amount, $299.20 for the discount, and $1,706.28 for penalty. Total collected altogether, $2,237.60.
May I ask you another question? Several people had problems with their sewer and trash fees, saying that they weren't paid, some were paid. Where does that fit in with the borough, with the tax?
I'm not sure what you're asking.
Oh, I have a question for you, tax collector. It's my understanding that if a person mails their tax payment in, and the tax payment does not equal what your record indicates, like, for example, if the person owed $1,490 and they sent $1,480, that their payment is actually being returned to them. Is that any validity to that?
Well, I don't know about that margin, but the reality is that if we put it on the books, then they'll still be listed as not being compliant. And then they'll get a notice that they're delinquent in the next year. But if there's some minor discrepancy, like in change or under $5, I don't return it.
But you return it if it's not, I was given the information from a neighbor that they got their check back. They may have had some issue of mistaking it. But to have the check go back instead of a letter that says your payment was incomplete or your payment lacked this amount of money, could you forward that? It seems to me that if you're returning tax payments, that's worse than sending a letter saying you're short this amount. Because once the money goes back to the taxpayer, it's like, they had a mistake, they may not have realized it, but to get their tax money back, seems to me to kind of be, really inconvenient for the resident for that to happen. Is there any policy? Past practice that would?
My understanding
would
from past practices is that, if the check does not equal to the amount that's due on the bill, then the bill is not paid.
Right.
It's like you can go to the grocery store to buy some groceries, and you give them half the money, you're not gonna get all the groceries to go with.
Well, I understand the analogy, but perhaps we could have that conversation, not necessarily here. It's just that I wasn't aware whether that was a practice predominantly done. I never heard of it before. That's why when I heard it, I would certainly like to have that conversation with you. And I'm sure that if there are mistakes that a resident is having in the amount of their tax dollars, because if given the situation with any taxing municipality or school district, when they say pay the tax and your taxes, you send the check in, maybe you didn't account for the discount and you sent your check in. It seems to turn dollars away from the town like that, and with any other complication that could arise after that, may not be the best approach. But I'd love to have additional dialogue with you about that.
Anytime you're ready, Madam President.
Thank you so much.
May I address the tax collector?
Yes, just a moment, Councilman. Mr. Dodson.
Mrs. Hughes, Ms. Hughes, I want to ask you a question. Of the 100 residents' homes who are vulnerable to being taken because of minimum amount of money, does that set off alarm bells for you? And do you have any information in prior administrations where that number was 100 or 100? And as our tax collector, is there any communications from your office to the 100 people, or any entity to the 100 people that they are in danger of losing their homes to the tune of $40 or $400, $800?
That is a very big concern of mine. I was flabbergasted when I went through the figures and saw how much was owed on some of them. Now, some of them, they owe a significant amount of money to the borough. And the other thing is that this isn't just new to them, because they've known about this for at least 2 years, some of them longer than 2 years. So I have been talking to the tax claim bureau and media to see what it is, and it's my understanding that they also are going to send out a second notice and reminder, and the sheriff is going to make a visit to remind people that the tax sale is coming up and make arrangements. I'm concerned because some people may be like the other person referenced in the report we just heard, may be elderly and not able to deal with it. Or may not even understand the papers that have been set on their doors. I don't know that I can go and visit everybody's home though. It's on the list and deal with it. So if you have suggestions, I'm welcome to hear them, because this is my first time experiencing this, and I would not like to see people lose their homes for nominal amounts of money.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you so much, tax collector. Thank you.
Ms. Venus, do you have a question?
Yes, I did. Thank you. I had a senior resident approach me several times, and I referred her to Nafis Nichols. In regard to 2017, there seems to be a lot of discrepancies. Is that ringing a bell with you about residents owing back taxes that year, and something happened that year?
2017?
Yeah, and because that's what she reported back to me, she was told. And I'm wondering, can she just speak to you? She's out of the area right now, but she was told that that's a year that keeps coming up. There was some type of discrepancy. So I'm wondering if a lot of those people, I don't know, this is just what was told to me way before your time, but I was just wondering, can she just speak to you directly about this issue? Because now
she can call me and she can have some information together. We can take a look and see.
Yeah, because she called Keystone, they keep kicking her back to the borough, and Mr. Nichols told her there's something about that year that seems to keep coming up, and I thought you may have been aware of it.
Now, you said Keystone. Now, Keystone is wage.
That was a mistake.
Is wage tax.
Keystone,
Councilor
is it
BNC?
No, Keystone is the earned income tax.
Yes.
no, so well, I don't know, this is secondhand information, but I'm gonna put her in contact with you.
Well, Councilor Beatty, the solicitor is aware of about 412 residents received letters saying that they did not, for 2017.
Okay.
Saying that they did not pay their taxes. And a lot of those residents were seniors who knew that they normally, the way that they paid their taxes, when it was done, but they didn't. Some were having health issues and they weren't able to locate the receipts, but they were in error. And one of the agencies or companies that we use to collect delinquent taxes had sent those letters out. And I believe, Mr. Boggs, could you give an update on that? So they were correct, most of them were corrected. So the lady you're referring to has not been clarified, it should be.
It's more, I'm regurgitating more of what Mr. Nichols told to me, but there was, a few months back, there were a lot of sent in error, but it didn't end up being as big of a problem as it looked like.
Okay, yeah, because she keeps saying,
Yeah,
I keep
you
calling
gotta have
everybody,
verification.
so she said, well, ask them about 2017.
Yeah, it was definitely.
All right, so I knew I wasn't making up a date.
No, it's 2017.
Okay,
We were
thank
from one of the collection companies that was
and for some
responsible
reason,
for
she
that.
mentioned Keystone, but that
It was
was the
Portnoy.
income.
Portnoy.
That's how we call
Portnoy.
it. Okay, thank you. Thank you for clarifying that.
You're welcome.
So they seem to know what's going on.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Next, I would like for those department heads, of course, finance is not here. Mr. Nichols is actually on vacation, so we look forward to him getting back and answering some of your finance questions to council. Community affairs, ordinance, and zoning, Mr. Rufus Stokes did address some of the, it's in the report on the ordinance and zoning. There needs to be some updates there. Public Works, I would like for Public Works to, rather than prolong our meeting here tonight, the Public Works would just simply do a summary of any announcements or notices that we should be made aware of. So Public Works, are you here?
I don't think we have a representative.
Okay. Do you have any information, Mr. Johnson?
No, ma'am.
Okay. For community affairs, of course, we have not met over the summer. People have been on vacation. So committee reports. What about the fire department? Is any representative from the fire department here? Can give a summary?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Hearing none. For the police department, Mr. Burns. And if you could do it from July inclusive of June, of July and our present meeting, August.
Well, I don't have the stats, I'm sorry, President Meeting, I only have the stats for July. The police department responded to 681 calls for service in July. There were 597 parking tickets issued for the month, 6 non-traffic citations, and there was only 1 criminal arrest for the month of July. I did just recently interview a part-time applicant. I completed her background today, so I wasn't able to get anything done on the agenda. I was going to ask for a motion to approve hiring based on her completing the physical and psychological evaluation. I anticipate that done by next week, but I understand we can't do that right now. So once I have that, I'll get that together for council.
Okay, I'd rather have those completed before we make a motion to approve it.
I made a motion contingent on them being passed, not a motion without them.
We'll get back to you.
We're gonna stall because it's for the police.
Why? Yeah, I have a question about that. Why?
the agency that's going to be doing the proficiency study of the department?
Yes, I met with him last week, I believe.
Okay. Any observations from that report? From that
Nothing
meeting?
as of yet. They're supposed to
Nothing.
send a questionnaire out, I believe tomorrow, and that's the last communication I have with them.
Okay, on the, let me just get the view of council. Is there any objection to approving before those? I know that Civil Service Commission, we don't have that fully staffed. How are you evaluating these applicants for part-time?
For part-time, it's the way we've always done it. They come in, they interview with 2 to 3 officers. Determinations made from there, whether they're going to move forward with a background investigation. Background investigation consists of visiting all employers, finding out discipline records, attendance records, their work history, demeanor, stuff like that. We also do home visits where we talk to neighbors. Then we go through a list of their references. We speak with all the references. This particular applicant was already a police officer. She's now working for the Emergency Management Department in Philadelphia. So she would like to get back into police work part-time. She's a Yeadon resident. I did email her resume to everybody this afternoon. I don't know if anybody got a chance to look at it.
I didn't get a chance to look at it.
But that was sent out this afternoon.
So,
I would like to make a motion to hire Daniel Pettyjohn as a Yeadon Borough police officer, contingent upon her passing the physical and psychological examination.
it's been moved and properly second. Motion to table. Is there a second? For motion to table, is there a second?
Madam President, the motion on the floor is with contingencies to hire the I think I'm not.
Danielle Pettyjohn as a part-time Yeadon Borough police officer.
Yes, there's a motion to table. Is there a second?
No.
Is there a second?
Still waiting on some information?
Yeah, contingent means that we're not gonna hire her until she passes. If you vote for that, we're gonna wait until she passes the psychological test and every other requirement before she's hired. We're not just hiring her wholesale. That's what contingent means.
And this will be prior to the September council meeting, so.
That's the reason I'm requesting it.
It
So
sounds
that I don't have to
reasonable.
wait another month to get her started this year.
So there is no tabling of the motion.
Why?
Maybe they need to know whether she's black or white.
So,
You know what, this council approved the hiring of Kelly Johnson based on contingencies. Based on contingencies, but now this is the priority.
there's a motion on the floor for contingencies.
There's a motion on the floor to table it, Mr.
There was never a second, there's no
There's
second.
a second motion.
Leon made the first one, I seconded, we never voted. And
No,
then,
because
There's another motion.
there's another motion to table unless we have, unless there is a vote, I second it. I second it. So all in favor to table the motion indicate by raising your hand.
why?
The motion fails. The
It's
motion
not
fails.
big enough.
The motion fails.
It is a big deal, it's public safety.
The motion fails.
The motion to table failed, so now the original motion to hire is on the table, I mean, it's on the floor.
so that the motion can be considered. All in favor of the motion, based on the contingency, would you indicate by raising your hand?
First, I have a question.
No.
I can't.
No,
Just have a question.
we're calling, okay. Would you indicate,
Can you repeat the motion, please? Repeat the motion.
Council roll call, you can repeat the motion.
I make a motion to hire Danielle Pettyjohn for part-time employment with the Yeadon Borough Police Department contingent upon successful passing of her physical and psychological examination.
Second.
No, she just repeated the motion. Are there any questions?
Yes.
You're not recognized, Mr. Mayor. You're not recognized. You're not recognized.
Can I ask why?
No, I'm going to call for the vote. Would you indicate by raising, excuse me.
Why can I not speak?
If you can indicate by raising your hand for the hiring of part-time police officers. Indicate by raising your hand. Council.
So I approve.
Yes.
The vote is unanimous, the motion carries. Thank you. Mr. Stokes, you finished? Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Stokes.
Oh, one question, Madam Lieutenant, before you leave. You said the test will take place next week? You said her testing will take place next
I
week?
anticipate she'll have it completed by next week.
Okay, and thereafter, how soon will the results come in?
For physical examinations with doctors, that gets sent right back.
Okay.
See my psychological, it's one day or so I get the answers for that.
Okay, great, thank you.
Mr. Stokes, for emergency management.
For emergency management, the report states that the FEMA has changed a lot of the requirements for municipal and local emergency management coordinators. So there will be a lot of classes that will be coming up in the near future in reference to filling in all the requirements that you must have as the emergency management coordinator. So there's no other information.
That's in
other than-
September?
No, this is actually classes, they changed the requirements as the emergency management coordinator. You have to meet a lot of requirements that the state has put in place. I would say maybe about 20 to 25 classes that you have to take. And then it has to get turned over to the county emergency management coordinator for you to be approved. So that's the only thing that's coming up.
All right.
Mr. Stokes, one question with respect to emergency management. There are courses that counselors are required to take.
Yes, I sent that out last year and gave everybody information to actually take the courses. That doesn't come back to me, it goes to the county, so I don't know who took the classes.
Well, I actually took the classes, but if the counselor does not take the classes, does that affect the borough in any way?
What I was notified by the county emergency management coordinator, every counselor should have those classes that was required. That actually it's good for you to have those classes because the funding that comes down from the FEMA and from the government, that's what they look at to make sure that you meet those requirements.
So if all counselors have not taken those courses,
They need to take them.
they need to take
Yes,
them?
ma'am.
Because our funding
Yes.
will be affected by saying.
That is correct.
Information? Thank you. Okay, good.
Mr. Hunter isn't here, so I'll just say a few words. I had a great time at Flag Day. I think a lot of people did. We had a lot of fun. The new banners have been put up basically on Church Lane. They're really pretty. I've been getting a lot of comments. People really like them. Well, maybe you don't, and that's your choice. But the majority rules. So most of the people in Yale do like them. And they like the sayings on them. Maybe you'll pay attention to the sayings. They're really nice. And they're basically on Church Lane. We have a few scattered throughout, but hopefully next year when we go through the budget, we can get a little bit more, and you all put some sayings to them too, some words of affirmation. Thank you.
All the other reports will be accepted as presented to the council. With regards to any of the residents may wish to speak at the end of this meeting, if you have a personal issue with your property or personal request or observation, you may do that over the next 10 minutes. If any resident has a personal issue that they would like the code department, the manager to address, you may come to the podium now, give your name and not your actual address, just the street that you live on. You may do that now. Yes.
This is our workshop meeting for September.
The workshop meetings for September, Councilor Yeadon Borough.
So the workshop meeting is every Monday of the month. The first Monday, I'm sorry.
The first Monday of September is a holiday.
I'm sorry, the first Monday of each month, except for the week that has a holiday.
Okay. We have Labor Day. Yes.
So we'll be that Tuesday.
So Tuesday, so we're gonna move to Tuesday? Okay.
Whenever there is a month that has a holiday.
All right.
Madam President, can I be
I'm gonna accept the report.
when will I be able to give my report?
The mayor did not hear that?
Yeah, I'm gonna accept that.
Yeah, when will I be able to give my report?
I have your report. I think it's been disseminated.
The residents don't have his report.
I do not have it.
We don't have his
Hear
report.
about more jokes.
We came to hear the mayor's report.
Sit down.
Why am I being silent?
I find this is unnecessary, it's very disrespectful. We allow the borough manager to ask questions and make statements, but we can't allow our mayor to make statements and ask questions. He's an elected official, and it's not right. It's not right. The mayor needs to give his report. He should be allowed to ask questions. And you should give your report, because this is very disrespectful, and I'm not going to stand for it. It's not right. It's not right. It's just not right. It's not right. Well, look, won't you come escort me? You come and escort me.
I'm not talking to you, Councilor.
I just witnessed the borough manager having carte blanche, asking questions, having a long report. You put mine at the very end, and I'm not asked questions.
I'm gonna ask you to respect the chair,
There's something
Mayor.
wrong. Respect the mayor. Respect the mayor.
Mayor. The president has the podium. The councilor.
You can't respect all elected officials and end the meeting. Then end the meeting, because it's not right. It's disrespectful.
Dictatorship.
I just waited for a couple of hours to speak, so
may give your concerns.
My Lord. My name is Maureen. Yeadon Avenue. Code officer. The house in Yeadon Avenue. Some of them is too close to you all. You can look, you can see. They're not looking good. Also, I think you all should think that's ridiculous the way a lot of you act.
Excuse me, adjacent to your property there's a concern.
Yes. The neighbors, when they don't clean snake, I'm tired of seeing snake in my yard because of all the dirt and trash that they kept.
We're listening.
Yeadon Avenue. The house that is close, they're close to the road. They're close to the police station. They're close to the fire station. If you look at them, just drove there, they look the worst. Nobody can tell me they don't see it. Sometimes you have to look, but sometimes you don't even have to look. It's right in your face. And there shouldn't be no favoritism either, because that's how I felt. Look at the Yeadon Avenue, look the worst. Right in the beginning of Borough. Police station, the fire station, all of you just look.
Okay, so he'll take, the manager, will make a note of it for
Is
you.
it the property at Redwood and property at Redwood and Yeadon, or next to you?
Next to me.
Okay, thank you, I'll
Is
get
that
the
a
address.
vacant lot? It's not a vacant lot.
No, it's not
Okay,
vacant.
it's a property.
I'll get your address at the end of the meeting.
Okay, Ms. McDonald.
Yes, it may have been addressed, but I stepped out a couple of times when the engineer was up here. Did he talk about McDade Boulevard where you come in from?
He sure did.
You
You got provisional approval. You got provisional approval for PennDOT to put a bump there, a traffic.
No, not a bump. I'm talking about when you first enter into Yeadon, or first enter to Cobb's Creek.
Oh, wow.
Before you get to Yeadon.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, it was repaired before, but then in no time, it was bumped, you know, it can destroy your car.
Right.
And, I know that they're doing things to, you know, repair. So can you please consider that area? When you
so
first
Mr.
enter in
Dawson.
on Cobb's Creek from where, Chester Avenue?
Yes.
When you're going up that.
You're right, there's a slope there.
Yeah.
Chester and McDade?
Chester
At
and,
the
no,
peak.
Chester.
Yes,
At the
at the beginning of McDade,
Yes, ma'am.
yes.
That is an underground project that will cost millions of dollars.
Oh, so what
And
we gonna do?
that's not your concern. That's something that was brought up years ago, and Eileen was our engineer. And so they're trying to smooth it over, but I will give you an answer tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you.
Because, you know, they're doing work up the street,
Yes, ma'am.
but, we were just concerned, some of the neighbors, if they're ever gonna get to that part.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay?
Yes, I'll have an answer.
Thank you very much for
I'll have an
listening to
answer
me.
for you.
Good evening. My name is Pastor Tony A. Wilbur, and I live in Yeadon for over 40 years. And I want to say this because it concerns me. Some years ago, I applied for a Yeadon Borough manager, and I was interviewed by everyone in council, not you guys, but this young lady over here. And I never found out I didn't get the job until like 3 months later, after they hired somebody else, after I was told the job would be mine. Now, I'll just ask just 2 questions, 3. Who's in charge of this, the borough manager or the mayor?
In charge of what?
Borough, the borough.
This council is in charge of the borough.
Okay.
Certainly not the mayor.
Okay, that's why I'm saying, okay, I'm gonna tell you why I said it. When I applied for borough manager, the mayor was supposed to be the person in charge, okay? Okay, now I guess
The mayor's never in charge of the council.
So, Wilbur, you see, I'm sitting here, I'm not in charge of nothing here.
Okay, well, listen.
If you haven't gotten the memo.
Again, I'm telling you what happened when I came to be here, council, borough
What's your
manager.
name, I'm sorry, what's your name again?
I'm Pastor Tony A. Wilbur from Yeadon, 40 years of living in
Spell your
Yeadon.
last name for me.
WILBURN.
And when did this happen?
Probably 15 years ago.
15 years ago.
Yeah, that's why I stopped coming to meetings. I'm gonna tell you another reason, okay?
Glad you're here tonight.
I'm here tonight because I just wanted to see what else was going on, okay? Because I'm gonna tell you, the chaos I see up there.
That's
and-
a shame.
Wait a minute, huh? I don't care what it was, and you as the council president,
Yes, sir.
as a president, I was for Keystone Foods for 30 years. It would have never happened. It would never happen. I would never be disrespected by the folks up there, okay? Because the truth of the matter, I'm just telling you from my point of view, okay? I would have a meeting with all of them and ask them to never, not ask them, I tell them, don't ever let that happen again. Because if you can't be respected by the folks up there, how do you expect us to respect you? How do you expect me to get along or want to be at a meeting like this? I came tonight because I heard there's going to be a meeting and whatever have you, and I just don't feel it.
I wish you had come last month.
I wish I would have came
And
too.
guess what else?
What's
I
that?
wish you had come, but you can have an opportunity to see those meetings from January to today. And I would love for you to give me a commentary on the behavior, not only of people here, but the behavior of people that were, what is the terminology? That were staged out there for direct disruption.
I was not staged, ma'am.
So all I'm saying to you, since you addressed me, all I'm saying to you is that there's a decorum, there's a respect for this chamber that should always be.
Always.
Be enforced. And sir,
I would ask that you call out those members that's being disrespectful.
Well, I don't have a problem with that, you know, I mean, let me say this to you again. I watched it when you asked the people to say aye and yay and nay, whatever have you. 2 or 3 people say yay, 2 people say no. What do the other people vote? Nothing?
well, let me
I
tell you
understand.
something.
I don't understand. That
Let me
makes
tell
no
you
sense to
something.
me.
If you've been in management.
I was in there for 30 years.
For 30 years.
That's right.
Minutes.
And I said this to you.
Excuse me,
I said this to you.
excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir.
Let me say this last thing before I go, okay? I say just like this. If you ain't here what I'm here for, I'll be here when you're gone.
All right.
You see, we still sitting here, right?
We need people like you.
We need you here. We need you here.
We simply want people to respect the chair. This has nothing to do with personality. Just respect the chair. And we can get things done in Yeadon. Thank you.
And that's why we need to act like a
The meeting is adjourned. Thank you for coming.
I apologize, but your directions were not very clear before, and I want to make sure I get a chance to speak, and there's a couple more speakers as well. I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
And my questions, good questions for the mayor, where I was promised earlier in the meeting that he would have an opportunity in the meeting to answer my questions, and I got that promise from you, and it's on video. So I would like for the mayor to come back up on the stage.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, I have a couple of quick questions. I will be asking all my questions even if you cut off my time, so I would appreciate
Oh,
quick
you're
answers
fine. You're fine.
where applicable. Okay.
Let me just clarify. Any questions that has to do with your specific request with regards to the application to have, civil rights and whatever, that's fine. What is not permitted here tonight is any reference to things that are not true. And when the mayor has a tendency to advocate for things that are not true.
Okay.
And it is the responsibility of this council to make sure that the residents of this borough, especially when they're being video and recorded, that the propagandizing that has to do with someone's personal opinion will not be allowed in this chamber. Now, they can do it outside, they can pass out flyers, they can do whatever they want. But in this chamber, there has to be a hearty respect for what is true, for what is right, for what is integritous. It has a right to be done here. And we have tolerated for 7 months now the total propagandizing and allegations against this leadership.
Council
Say
President,
it, you were here.
Council President, just to be
Yes.
clear, and this will count for my 3 minutes. Are you talking
No, it
about?
doesn't count for your 3 minutes.
Thanks, ma'am.
I'm simply giving clarification.
Okay, but just
Yes.
so I understand, are you talking about the people who have come out and protest about Sean Marcher, or are you talking about other things?
Not at all.
Okay, you're talking about other things, okay.
We're talking,
If it's all right,
yes.
if it's all right with you, just because I want to respect everyone's time, I just have some questions I'd like to ask on the record. Okay, so, and I'm gonna go through all of them, so I hope you won't cut me off, because we waited for a few hours here. So, and Mayor, if you could be as brief as possible, I'd appreciate it. Could you just quick, in a couple sentences, say more about the DOJ contact that you made, whether it was a written contact and who you spoke to?
Sure.
Thank you.
I contacted I had some missteps on the right person to speak to, so that's why it took a little bit, but within the last couple of days, I did speak.
Could you still speak into the mic?
Sure.
Sure.
United States Attorney for the Eastern District of Pennsylvania.
Okay, and did you do it in writing?
Yes, and her name is Jacqueline Romero.
Okay, thank you. I will talk to you afterward about maybe getting a copy of what you wrote, if that's possible.
Sure.
Moving on to my other questions, much of the council isn't here anymore, but of the council members who remain, do you support a DOJ investigation to make sure that we do everything we can to prevent this from ever happening again, yes or no?
Absolutely.
No, I'm asking members of council, I apologize.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Absolutely. We need as much.
We did, I just put it on the record, I trust.
It's
in
on
your
the
answer.
record.
Absolutely.
Okay, next
It's on the
question.
record.
Next question.
Should
What
have been
elected
done.
officials have personally reviewed the evidence, including the video, that I understand Mr. Boggs has reviewed? Have any of you actually watched the video?
We have not had the opportunity yet.
I have.
Okay. And Mr. Boggs, to your knowledge, do any elected officials have knowledge of the video, or did you watch it on their behalf?
The only knowledge that I believe the counselors have is what I explained to them in an executive session, and they were provided with the updated incident report at the time of that executive session.
Okay, and I appreciate that. In your professional experience, is it pretty typical for you to just, review the evidence and give them a report, or typically do elected officials show interest in reviewing the evidence themselves?
I could answer.
I have interest in
Yeah,
seeing.
and I can answer that. It's in the purview of the police chief and/or the mayor to release that information. And it is my position that anyone who wants to review the tapes and the evidence are welcome to do so.
Of elected officials.
Including all the, included, well, I said that in the email, and still, I said that in email, and I provided that opportunity also for the family.
Okay, my questions now are.
Well, you're
Because
available.
the family said so. You did not provide that. So
No,
you're
no,
saying.
I provided that opportunity to the family, and I'm telling you that you haven't been talking to me, and you've been resisting me, and you've been
But Mayor.
showing me off, okay, you're not working on it.
But Mayor.
I'm saying to you that
I
anyone
called you,
who
and you
wants,
didn't turn the microphone.
whoever wants to review the evidence that we have, are welcome to do so.
Okay.
I would like to state for the
Including
record,
yourself.
I would like to state for the record that the mayor nor did the lieutenant call any council member for us to be notified for, I believe it was 3 days after this happened.
Can I finish my questions without the already? I don't want to cut you off. So just to recap, Mr. Boggs reviewed what evidence is available, which I assume was given to the district attorney's CID office. and he gave a report to all of you. Did any of you request to see the evidence, or did you not ask that question?
No one's requested for me to see the evidence.
No.
I don't have a report, I never
Okay.
So it works both ways too.
Moving
Thanks for
on,
answering
just
that
as I'm
question.
reading
No one's asked me to see the evidence either.
Okay, I would just strongly encourage, in order to get a stronger picture of whether DOJ needs to be involved, because hopefully it will be a unanimous decision, that everyone review the evidence. I totally trust in Mr. Boggs' review of the evidence, but I just think that it would have a more human connection to how serious the situation is.
I agree with you.
Okay. Mr. Boggs, did you prepare your memo for council and the mayor describing the incident in preparation for litigation, or to aid in police reforms, or both?
The only thing that I've done so far was in writing, I believe, was letting council know that we had an incident report. It was presented in executive session, and there was a subsequent email where everyone got a personal copy of that. I have not written a memo about, no, we did. And that was simply a factual recitation of the video. But I think that's all that was in one of the emails. I think it was the first one. I'd have to go back and check. I think it was the first one without the incident report.
I know it's just typically you as the solicitor, as the lawyer saying, hey, this thing happened, here's what we know to be true, and it just is like.
Absolutely, that's the only thing that has come through.
The manager hasn't been, excuse me, the manager has not been allowed to tour the police department, nor see the evidence.
Okay.
And Ms. Kenny, I just want to state for the record, since you asked the question, I was barred from that executive meeting discussing the death of Mr. Marshall. I was not allowed to go to that
We did
meeting.
not bar you.
Yeah,
That
you
is
did.
not true.
I was not allowed to go to the meeting.
We'll come
Just
back
like
to
that, just like that.
Okay.
It's a meeting amongst council members, so, you know, it's okay that you're.
But it's about my department. It's about my
Are
department.
you a reporter, Ms. Kennedy? Are you a reporter?
She
I
does
didn't think
sound
so.
like one. She sounds
No,
like
not
But go ahead, Ms. Kennedy. You're asking very good questions.
Okay.
You're asking excellent questions.
I have a couple more questions, and I'm sure Mr. Boggs and everybody else wants to go ahead. These are questions for Mr. Boggs. So I suspect that tomorrow, if you were planning to send me a right to know response, you're probably gonna ask for a 30-day extension. Assuming, that's totally fine, but I just was wondering if you'd be willing to talk to me and Mario quickly after the meeting, or in general, about what stuff you might be able to, like, release in the meantime.
So Lieutenant Burns and I are working to get you something that you, because I believe in your request, you said that you were okay coming in to view it.
Yeah, I would love to save on costs if that's possible. I don't think a lot of
Wonderful.
money, so.
I would anticipate we would probably have that available probably early next week.
Okay, that sounds great.
What are you referring to, Mrs. Boggs?
I filed a right to know request, and I'd be happy to share with anyone who wants to look at what I requested.
I would like to see that.
Sure.
As the mayor, I'd like to see that.
Sure, and then, just generally speaking, I just was curious what the plan is, just overall, over this incident, to release documents relating to it, including whatever was shared with the DA's office, like just to the public. Is there any plan to say, okay, we're done discussing this in executive session, let's release these documents so people have a public understanding of what happened?
Let me say something. To my understanding, I believe we are doing an independent investigation, but that's what I thought.
There's a proficiency study of the police department. It's a 120-day review of policy, procedure, data, information, everything that relates to the operation of the police department.
Madam Council President, do you and Mr. Boggs commit to not do what Sharon Hill did, which is to spend a bunch of taxpayer money on a report, an investigative report, and then redact 85% of it?
Well, no, we're not redacting as far as I'm concerned. As far as I know, it will be a public document.
Okay. And then, the final question I have, and I mean no disrespect by the situation, but so just to confirm my understanding, are there any other law enforcement officers of the Yeadon Borough that at any time had custody of Mr. Marcho other than Lieutenant Burns?
Other than Lieutenant Burns?
You wouldn't know that.
No,
My understanding is Lieutenant Burns wrote a report, it's just unclear here who was in, who.
The arresting officer, Mr. Burns, could answer that question for us. Wasn't Mr. Burns?
And I'm not
There were
interrogating
two-
you here, I'm just trying to get clarity.
There were two officers, Lieutenant Burns, can you?
Yeah, it was a 3-man squad working that day, when he was initially arrested.
Okay.
There were 2, and then the sergeant showed up on the scene.
Okay.
When he was brought back here. I don't know if all 3 came back initially, but one of them had to leave for a call, and then there was 2 in the squad.
Thank you for answering that, and I think I know the answer to this, but my understanding then is that all 3 are still on duty at this time.
That's correct.
Okay, because as I talked to the district attorney's office, and as you all have stated, they deemed this an accident, and they don't think anything could have been done to prevent this.
That's correct.
Okay, I disagree about that, but that's quite all right, and I just wanted to get that all on the record. I guess, let me see if there's anything else here. I would just encourage, I know that like I'm not gonna get anyone to do this, and the people who kind of need to hear are here, but like it would be great if we could finish the meetings. And it would also be really, really awesome if we could get like the most critical of information on the website. And I just want to reiterate my offer from before, which is if you need a volunteer to come help until you find someone to hire, I'd be happy to get that important information on the website. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before you go,
We're very of us to speak though, just to make sure, please don't come to the meeting.
what's critical is that someone was arrested. They were put in a holding cell. There is a monitor that is supposed to be watched. And we're trying to figure out, are the police supposed to notify the turnkey that someone is in the cell? Or is she just supposed to know that someone is in the cell?
You can't know unless you.
Then, you know, questions need to be answered. And we would like for those questions to be answered.
And I hope the DOJ thing happens, and I hope that you all are behind it together, no matter what your opinions, because you all had mental health training for these officers, and so they were trained, and either whether they didn't follow the training or the training is insufficient, he died, and clearly just doing more of that training is not gonna fix the problem.
Thank you.
Narrators, Sabino again, respectfully, representing Delaware Resists and, as a former elected official myself. All I think I can add to this, I appreciate, the forthcoming answers to the serious questions that have been raised, and I hope, the seemingly unanimous, and I didn't see a lot of unanimous things tonight, but, I'm hoping that, yes, this does rise above, down and dirty politics, because life and death is involved, and I appreciate the unanimity in, seeking outside help in getting to the bottom of this situation, and I think, having a neutral arbiter is the best for both, the borough and your constituents, and hopefully, at least on this issue, that cooperation can continue. So I